Yo guys, this is Ryan here, it's your favorite Russian talking, and this is gonna be a freaking awesome video talking about Demonology Warlocks and how I have a raging nerd boner for them. The reason why is because the way they made them in PvP, it's like a chess game. It's like a good chess player would love to play Demonology Warlocks because it reminds me a lot of the chess pieces. Where Demonology Warlocks, what makes them strong is not how well they execute their rotation, how well they're gonna summon their minions, how many minions are they gonna summon. No, it's all about what are your decision making, what is your strategical thinking in making those decisions, and what is the outcome and how much more value can you get out of the abilities that you press. Hands down, Demonology Warlocks have the best control out of all the Warlocks, and I will talk about it in just a second. But what makes the Warlock extremely fun, Demo Warlock extremely fun class to play, is the way they made them. Demonology Warlocks have the answer to almost every single situation, but the person needs to know how to build their character properly for that situation, how to utilize that situation to their greatest potential. So it's not one of those classes where you're out there running around, you spamming your mortal strikes, heroic strikes, and you do just massive damage and that's it. Like, go do your rotation. Demonology Warlocks will require a lot of thought out. If Affliction has to spread a lot of dots to have the dots do a lot of damage for them, Demonology Warlocks have to just time their shit correctly and they will gimp people, they will kill people, they're deadly. So let's talk about Demonology Warlocks from the PvP perspective. I'm gonna go through PvP talents also, and we're gonna start from the bottom because this is where it's also I transformed to some kind of crap, which is I'm like this little mini piggy. So Fellord, basically the way it looks is, and I'm gonna show you some duels and everything else. This is so far I'm gonna be talking about North Theory crafting. Then the guides I'm gonna be making is not the guides I usually made. Is here's your rotation, here's how it works. I'm gonna work in terms of providing a different types of guides. They're gonna be pretty awesome. Just stick with this channel and you'll be pleasantly surprised. So my Demonology Warlock, what is the experience? It's about 2300, so it's not the greatest, it's not the weakest, but I do feel like I actually can talk to it because I'm a great nerd analyzer and mathematics nerd. So call Fellord, you summon kind of like your big minion Fellord onto the ground. And basically what happens is, he pretty much strikes every 3 seconds. He does like this charge attack and he strikes, charge attack, strikes, charge attack, strikes. And during that time he stuns for about a 1 second, 0.5 seconds, 0.75 probably to be precise, seconds. And does 190,000 damage. 190,000 damage, what it is in comparison, it's about 13% of somebody else's HP, 12 to 13%. So that's pretty awesome. And you can actually get up to almost, like, if it crits, it can crit and you put a Curse of Fragility, all of a sudden he can be tracking for like up to like 30% of somebody else's HP. Like, he can do a massive damage. Except, oh my god, let's turn the sound off. So, except the only problem arises with the demon, is that when you put him on the ground, he just stands on the ground. And that's all he does. He just stands on the ground. So a lot of PvPers, they go for the Master Summoner, which increases your duration of your Wild Imps and your Dread Stalkers by 100% and makes your Dread Stalkers basically instant cast. So, which is pretty awesome. I mean, Dread Stalkers, they last 24 seconds. You can have up to 4 at the same time. It's great. It adds a lot of like sustained damage, but a lot of people are very unsuccessful in terms of dueling with that spec. Why? Well, because they're missing this little chess element of the gameplay. So call Fellord, when you put that thing onto the ground, what happens? And let me see if I can actually fly and duel somebody. Oh, there you go, finally that stupid thing is gone. So when you put it on the ground, it's great. Don't get me wrong. The reason why is because then you kind of make this made a chess move is, hey, Mr. Warrior, I'm gonna be standing here in this Fellord's AoE. If you wanna come in, get ready to be mini stunned and eat 190 to 300,000 K crits. 190,000 hits, 300k crits. And start damaging me. Now, get the fuck out of here, go leap out and let me free cast. That's the beauty of the Fellord. Literally, it's just, it is so awesome, but a lot of people, again, they kind of miss that opportunity because, hey, people can just walk out of it. Well, yes, they can walk out of it, but it's not the walking out that is the issue here. It's the fact of the matter is, yes, they're walking out of it, but guess what? They're still eating a tons of CCs. So let's see if somebody can actually show me, like, would not mind dealing me so I can show the talents. Let's see if this guy. Nope. Hey, I am. He's asking, what should I do? I'm asking that. Hey, just send an AoE. Showing a few talents. Alright, come on, Zephyr. Zephyr, be a good man. Zephyr. Okay, you have 5 minutes. Great, that's enough. Oh my fucking god, fuck this guy. Oh, you finally decided to do it. Jesus Christ, man, like, thanks, appreciate it, but holy shit, your thinking is like so long. So basically we're gonna build up the shards, and here we're putting a Fel Lord onto him. So look at this. Strike, 185,000, mini knockdown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Strike. So the only problem is I can see is that if the people will just walk out of it and come back in. Do you see how much he chunks? Like, it's actually legitimately a scary damage. So, yeah, if I'll be casting out here, yes, I'll be taking damage from the warrior when he's gonna be attacking me. But I have the option here is, well, 346k crit. So, a lot of people say, well, this is not a great talent. This is not a great talent because it's, you just put it on the AoE and there's nothing happening. Well, guess what? If you're playing against a TSG, right? For example, in 3v3, you put it on the ground, Warrior and Decay connects on your healer, you put that shit on the ground, they get knocked down, they get interrupted. Yes, they can walk out of it, absolutely they will walk out of it, but then your healer is free casting and healing in that AoE. That is the thing, that is the chess game that I'm talking about, that what is makes it awesome. And it's only 1.5 minute cooldown, so you can do it quite often. Let's kill me. Okay, let's see. Okay. Come on, Zephyr. Think faster. Next thing is the next situational ability is Observer. For this one, cast as many spells as you can. Come on, buddy. We're already at 9-minute video. Appreciate your patience. Man, I swear to God, this guy is... No. Just cast spells. Okay. Well, just... Like... Oh. See that damage? It's every time he casts a spell. Right. The observer starts doing damage to him. And I'm not sure why he didn't do any damage at the end, but that is the whole idea. Thanks, guy. You the man. Okay, so basically, this is what we got. A 10 minutes video. Sorry, guys, for the delay. I appreciate you waiting, but that's basically it. The Fell Lord you put on the ground, and you basically have to move out of the way, or you have to stand there and take a lot of damage. And yes, you can walk out of the AoE, but it doesn't matter because you personally as a player can benefit from it. It's a very good anti-melee tool. And the other one is called Observer against the casters. Yes, cast your offensive spells. Try to kill me, but I'll do a shit ton of damage. And yes, people can swap to Observer because you're only gonna have about like 180k HP. However, that requires them swapping, killing the target, getting some damage relief off of your next one. And they probably will get a few 3 to 5 casts first before they can swap to Observer and kill it. So, which means will give you some opportunity to actually have your damage sink in. So that's the idea of the chess game. These two talents will pretty much define how you want to be played, and you give the opponent an option. Hey, dear melee, kite me against my AoE, and let me free cast and summon a bunch of minions on you. Or, hey, dear melee, come and DPS me as much as you can. You'll take some damage back as well. And I have shields, I have stuff to prevent that. Also, with that said, Observer is kind of the same thing. That's the chess game, that's the inside mind game that I'm actually talking about. The next thing we'll talk about is Pleasure Through Playing. It's this row of the talent that is, again, unique to Demonology. While your Succubus is active, your shadow damage is increased by 15% and the cast time of your Shadow Bolt is reduced by 0.5 seconds. So that's actually, this one is really nice, especially with the Demonology Bolt combined. 1.35 second cast, you have a bunch of minions, you can actually do a good amount of damage. To top it up, you have a Shadow Flame, you have your Hand of Gul'dan that does decently damage, so extra shadow damage won't hurt. However, the reason why I'm saying Demonology have the most control is because, first of all, they have their main pet stun. And then they can do a Grimoire of Service and summon the second pet that also stuns, right? Then they can talent into a Mortal Coil. So for 3 seconds you have a horror effect. Then they can spam, on top of all of that, they also spec into a Fell Hunter that locks that is a 6-second lockout. Basically they get a free interrupt on top of their stuns and all the other shit. And on top of it, by choosing a Fell Lord or Observer, they kind of do an indirect CC because the opponent has to limit their capability in some sort of way. Mage has to swap to Observer or stop casting in order to not to take damage. Or if he's gonna keep casting, he'll be taking a lot of damage from Observer. Melee has to get away from the Fell Lord, or they can stand in his AoE and take a lot of hits. So that's, for me, it's freakishly awesome. So with that said, we're gonna talk about a bit of a rotation in the ideology of a Demonology Warlock. So the ideology is very following, my friend. You summon as many freaking minions as possible. When you summon your minions, you empower them. After you empower them, you can do thought kill consumption. Basically, it's your artifact talent that drains 10% from your demon servants and does damage to the target. It cannot crit, but it can hit up to 700, 800k, which is a lot of damage. So with that said, let's take a look at the overall Demonology. So you build up your shards via Shadow Bolt, obviously. Via your Doom, after it expires, it does good damage, and yes, basically it will generate another shard. And then you have a first talent shard generating talents. So you have a Shadow Inspiration every time you summon your Dreadstalkers. Oh no, every time you cast your Demonic Empowerment, which will make your pet stronger, and you have to cast it, you get the next Shadow Bolt instant cast, which I don't like that, to be honest. I think Shadow Flame would be better. The second one we'll look at is Demonical. Shadow Bolt has 20% chance to make your next call of Dreadstalkers cast no sword shot. This is actually going to be synergizing very well with a Pleasure Through Pain because you have a faster Shadow Bolt cast, which will give you a lot more minions in return. So that's actually a very, very good thing. And then Shadow Flame. That's my personal favorite for PvP because it's an instant cast. It puts a really decent dot on the target. I mean, not really decent, but in terms of Demonology Warlock damage perspective, it's actually decent. And it generates 2 soul shard every time you cast it. It gets up to 2 charges, and it's a 40-second recharge time. So pretty much every 14 seconds you can get extra shards. So it roughly you can get about 4 extra soul shards every single minute. Instant cast, just out there. The next one is we have Impending Doom. Your Doom also summons 1 Wild Imp, which every time it deals damage. So I don't like that because it pretty much summons 1 Wild Imp every 18 seconds. Not at all. Cold Dress Sharks now summons 2 Wild Imps. This is actually a pretty decent talent, especially when you can combine it with the Demonic Calling. However, I do like Implosion a lot more. What Implosion is, you pretty much summon your Wild Imps with your Hand of Gul'dan. It gets onto the ground, and then you can charge your imps. You can command your imps to charge the target and explode, dealing 78,000 damage, 158,000 if they crit. Now you summon about 4 imps, so that's about 400k HP, or roughly about 25% of somebody else's HP levels. Yes, it's a bit of a DPS sacrifice and you have to spec in it, but boy, it will truck people. The next one, I believe that Demon Skin is good for survivability, and it's decent. Shadow Fury is a cast time, so it's kind of defeats the purpose if you're getting trained by 2 melee to get actually locked out of Shadow Fury cast. So I actually prefer Mortal Coil because you can stun with your pet, you can lock out the healer, start DPSing him, then you can stun the pet, stun with the pet for another 5 seconds while you're trucking the healer, and then you coil him, and then you can summon another pet and stun him again. So you can control the healer when you're trying to kill actual healer, let's say with your melee DPS body, for a really, really long time. So I like Mortal Coil. Here we have a couple different ones. Hand of Gul'dan also applies Doom to all the targets it hits. That is actually freaking amazing for RBGs, and I'll explain you once we get down the tier levels. Power Trip. Demonic Power has 50% chance to generate 1 soul shard when it's used in combat, which I guess is pretty decent. Soul Harvest is the best because it's a 1 minute cooldown. You immediately generate 5 soul shards. So the more soul shards you have, the more minions you summon. The more minions you summon, the more damage you can do with your Sulky L consumption, which drains 10% HP of your minions and just strikes the main target. Then we have here, and I think Dark Pact would be the must to have because it's just too freakishly awesome. Why it's freakishly awesome? Well, because we can empower our demons. When we empower our demon, the demon gets 56% extra HP. So when we're doing a sacrifice, we're getting shield on ourselves equals to 1.2 million HP. 1.2 million. That's quite a lot. That's a really, really large. It's about 60-70% of your HP levels. So you get the shield on yourself, you put the freaking fell Dreadlord onto yourself, and if the melee is dumb enough to be tunneling visioning the shit out of you while you have the shield on and the Fell Lord, then you will tip the scales into your favor quite fast. So Dark Pact, I like it more. Then we have a Grimoire of Service, probably hands down the best because it does give you an extra CC. Grimoire of Service also have 1.5 minutes cooldown, but it does give you extra 5 second cooldown, 5 second stun, and I mean, depending on which obviously you choose. If you choose Succubus, it will seduce your target, and Fell Hunter will actually interrupt the target. So it's kind of not bad. Grimoire of Synergy is also not bad because the damage that you do or your demon has 100% chance to get the other 30% increased damage over 15 seconds. Some of the demons do really, really nasty damage. So I think for RBGs could be Grimoire of Synergies actually could be better. Oh my god, I get this crap again. Let's get rid of it. And then, obviously, at some point in time, Grimoire of Service, it's a toss-up between the two. Grimoire of Supremacy, the new pet, the Doomguard and the Inferno, they're actually not the strongest ones. So I personally don't really enjoy them that much. Then we have a Summon Dark Lair, Demon Bolt, and Soul Conduit. So here, Soul Conduit is actually very good, I think, for 3v3. Because you will be summoning a lot of demons, and I will do some rotations in a second. So having 20% chance to refund the soul shard is actually great. Demon Bolt, on the other hand, is also a really, really nice ability. The more demons you have, the more damage you start doing. The more damage with the demon bolts, and then with the pleasure through pain you can be casting those quite frequently, and they could be hitting for like 80, 70, 100k, which is not bad, but it's not the greatest. And Dark Glare is also pretty awesome. Basically every time you put a Doom on a target, or if you put a Doom on a multiple targets, you summon Dark Glare and it will basically just start doing those AoE damages. Look at this. Wow, wow. So it's kind of a feedback. Hits one target, then goes into the next one. And hits for 21k, which is not bad at all. So, Dark Glare has a relatively short cooldown, and it has a 24-second cooldown, lasts for 12 seconds. Now, the thing is about this, and let's apply Doom to as many targets as we possibly can. So, quite honestly, come to think about it, you might actually want to, you see? Like, this is, it has a pretty awesome animation too. You might want to even sometimes refresh it, like after they tick, you need to make sure that you refresh them. So this is pretty awesome. It's a really, really nice damage. However, in RBG, remember I talked to you guys that there is one pretty awesome talent, which is this one, Hand of Doom. Hand of Gul'dan now applies Doom to all nearby targets it hits. So you summon your Hand of Gul'dan. It does AoE damage, and you can actually cast multiple of them. And it doesn't matter, effectively, like, you can cast them at the 1 soul shard. It consumes up to 5 soul shards and summons 5 wild M's. But you don't have to do that. You can also just get a 1 soul shard from your, for example, Shadow Flame. And that's basically it. And then once you get the power trip going and it spreads your, basically your Doom bolts. I mean, your Dooms. While you get a lot of Dooms on the multiple targets, then you have Dark Glare that are just gonna keep on trucking those multiple targets and doing pretty respectful damage. So, RBG wise, I do think that Demo could be viable, but it does require a lot of thought. It does require a lot of like setups. So, like, just a lone observer in the heat of the battle can be just devastating, can do so much damage. Especially, let's say, if you go into Battle for Gilnets and you summon inside the house, so people have no idea, you put some demonic portal there, and in the middle of the fight, you just port there and you summon it and start maybe like damaging through the inside the house, start damaging people. People have no idea where the fuck is it coming from. All of a sudden, you see you can almost wipe the entire team by yourself. But it requires a smart coordinated gameplay from the Warlock itself to outsmart his opponents, and will require smart coordinated gameplay from the actual players who are facing the Warlock to know how to counter them. And that's basically what I got for you guys today. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, because Demo Warlocks, they're freaking awesome, my friends. And by the way, I do appreciate everybody sticking by my channel and watching me. Even though I'm not playing Worlds of Giant, I'm actually trying to build up my knowledge about the Legion and share it with people. So I really, really appreciate that, guys. Thank you, and до свидания.